When I was a young lad, I was called a lot of things. Queer, weirdo, freak, everything except for autistic. It wasn't until I was much older that word came to define who I am. My stepfather would call me Josephina Barbertall on the count of me walking on the tips of my toes. The counselors and the teachers and the therapists said I had a nervous disposition on the count of me rocking back and forth and moving my arms about oddly. There's just something about that kid, they said, about the kid who refused to give eye contact. The kid who had large, giant, violent, curse-filled outbursts at almost every assembly or inside of the cafeteria, wherever there was a lot of people and a lot of noise. I remember the doctor saying, "What is it that do you think is so wrong with you?" And I said, "I see people. I meant I see people for who they really are. I see beyond these things." And the doctor said, "How long, Joey, have you had these delusions?" Yada-da-da-da-da-da, 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 the kid's not right. Yada-da-da-da-da-da, 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 the kid's not right. They call me Little Professor Renda, a lot of it messy, and say he's always stressing over absolutely nothing. It's a tragedy, must be, 'cause his daddy fucking left. Not too hard not to play the shame and playing game, even though they gaslit me to thinking I was insane. 'Cause I do not got the same brain as his neurotypicals, that's why they hate me. Oh Lord, how can I find myself with 1,000 eyes looking back at me? Oh Lord, how can I find myself with 1,000 eyes looking back at me? Yada-da-da-da-da-da, 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 the kid's not right. Yada-da-da-da-da-da, 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 the kid's not right. Hi buddies, from Dandyland Studios, my name is Joey Helpish, and this is What the Helpish. And in case you haven't figured it out today, we're talking about autism, specifically my story of autism. It's a story of denial and acceptance and denial and acceptance and denial and acceptance again and probably some more denial. It's a story of betrayal. But mostly it's just a story about this obsessive little weirdo. It's a story about a little guy whose dad took off and he never felt accepted anywhere. He had this adopted family, but he was always othered, and he always felt like the weirdo. The story of a kid who, when he was taken from his home where he was born at like 4 years old, just obsessed about cows the whole way to the coast. And he had this cool uncle that gave him a rocking horse, and he would just obsessively rock on that horse back and forth, constantly. That is what I remember the most about being a small child, is this horse. And I would just rock back and forth, like my life fucking depended on it. And it was the earliest memory that I have of finding comfort in loops, in that back and forth, that consistency, that constant loop. Back and forth and 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 back and forth. And I don't wanna go outside, I don't wanna play no games, I just wanna stay on the ride where I can feel safe. leave me alone. Wanna be in the zone, rather be left alone in my own world. Just let me dance in my neurological trance. Back and forth and 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 so our hero begins to navigate the world as an autistic child, but he doesn't know that he's an autistic child. Nobody does. No one seems to put the things together, but he is extremely isolated. He's extremely outcasted. He's always the odd one out. He begins to create his own world, and he begins to get good at things. He begins to record himself, making little skits and making little podcasts and making little songs, but he never did what he was told most of the time. Maybe he's just a little bit lazy. And he began to act oddly, and he would have these violent outbursts when things didn't go his way. Maybe he's just a little bit crazy. And his family and his school, they tried, and they got him involved with therapy and counselors, and they were just like, I don't know. Could be he's bipolar or has ADHD. And they seemed confused as to why I needed the help, because we were kind of buddies. And he don't seem to want to be inside our reality. And from a very early age, these counselors that later became mentors and friends would kind of tell me like, hey, yeah, you're weird, but like, so are all the great people in the world. And that helped me get through some stuff, but at the same time, the depression and the isolation got really, really intense. And I became what I have termed chronically suicidal. And at the age of like 13, I put a 300 Magnum inside of my mouth and I pulled the trigger, but my little autistic ass doesn't pay attention to detail, and I left the safety off and my grandma pulled it. And then I was in and out of mental institutions for years, and I was always trying to find a way. And eventually, when I became a teenager, I started finding people like me, the weirdos, the queers, the outcasts. And we formed our little band of freaks. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. I present to you the fabulous, fantastic Queerdos. Queerdo, queerdo, why you such a queerdo? Hey, I'm just trying to be myself. Queerdo, queerdo, why you such a queerdo? Hey, I'm just trying to be myself. Hey there, hello, hiya, how you doing? It's just us, modern day circus freaks, social rejects and theater geeks. Cool cats who feel like such a burden, and not knowing that they're all neurodivergent. It's a hot mess, but so entertaining. Marriage of the black sheep and the ugly duckling. Queerdo, queerdo, why you such a queerdo? Hey, I'm just trying to be myself. And so there I am, I found my people, which was a relief, because until high school-ish, a little bit maybe in middle school, I just kind of thought I was the only deep, intelligent person my age ever. And not even my age. It was really hard for me to find people older than me that I could really resonate with. And those people that I found were the art teachers, were the theater teachers, and then eventually the theater kids. And they kind of saved my life. And at this time, I was also dealing with an extremely dysfunctional family, and I was in therapy, and the therapist started to drop hints that I didn't get until decades later. He would talk about the guy who was obsessed with gnats, and how my obsession with music was a lot like that. That guy had this thing called Asperger's, and he would say that word a lot, but it sort of confused me. And it just sort of contributed to this ongoing identity crisis. My late teens, going into my early 30s, they think I'm a genius, and they think I'm a freak. I was just lost. And they think I'm the cool one, and they think I'm the geek, and they think I'm a hero, and they think I'm the villain, and I still don't know who the fuck I am. They think I'm a genius, and they think I'm a freak, and they think I'm the cool one, and they think I'm the geek, and they think I'm a hero, and they think I'm the villain, and I still don't know who the fuck I am. Throughout most of my childhood, I got these mixed signals from people as to who I am. What is my identity? Even down to what is my religion? What is my ethnicity? And then eventually, what is my mental health and my neurotype? And as I got older, I started meeting and becoming friends with people who had what was at the time called Asperger's syndrome. And I started to maybe accept that this was who I am. And at the same time, there was all these missed signals. No, that's not it. It's an identity crisis. And so I started compartmentalizing parts of who I am. Hey, it's an identity crisis. And I started creating different kinds of music and creating personas for that different kinds of music. They think I'm a genius, and they think I'm a freak, and they think I'm the cool one, and they think I'm the geek, and they think I'm a hero, and they think I'm the villain, and I still don't know who the fuck I am. On one hand, there was Lonesome, the soft-spoken, sensitive young man who sang songs about hope. And on the other hand was Uncle fucking Nancy, a rough and tough son of a bitch that didn't give a fuck about anything. This went on for years. And eventually, Uncle Nancy started kind of winning, and I just kind of became him. And I started touring, and I just lived music. That was my life. And then everything crashed. Put another record on, maybe write another song. I don't know if I can go on. All I know is that I am so burned out. I'm so burned out. And so my life sort of just halted, and I wasn't able to do much. It was a combination of physical burnout. We can talk about my physical disabilities later, and then later I would learn what happened was something called autistic burnout, and I was just exhausted. And I started getting really into Doctor Who. And then one night, there was this YouTuber, this is early days of YouTube, called Aspergian Star. And I was watching some of his videos, and I stumbled on one of his videos about Asperger's syndrome. And I decided to watch it. And then it was my first real rabbit hole I went down on YouTube. That was all new information. And Long story short, the sun is coming up. I have been researching Asperger's and autism all night and just watching a whole bunch of videos of people talking about their late diagnosed experience. Now, I had been unofficially diagnosed when I was when I was younger, but I rejected it, and this was me accepting it. And it was this moment where the guy said, I knew that I had to look further into this and look into getting diagnosed when I read that one of the symptoms is heavy research. And I looked up and the sun was coming up and didn't realize that I had been researching all night, and that I had been doing that. And thankfully I was seeing doctors a lot. And so it wasn't super difficult to go through and get the screening, because I was already seeing doctors once a week. And so then I got officially diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, and then later with ASD. Hey look, it's you. Now all of the things that you've been through kinda make a lot of sense, I guess. Hey look, it's you. You're gonna have some work to do to make all of this make some sense, I guess. Ain't it funny, ain't it funny, ain't it funny, ain't it strange? When everything changes, the whole world rearranges into something brand new. At the same time, it was always there, but now you learn to really care and accept yourself, 'cause you know who the fuck you are. Maybe Ugly Duckling was really on to something, 'cause I'm tired of fronting, pretending like I'm anything like these neurotypicals. It's almost spiritual when you learn to accept yourself, uncompromisable. Trying to relearn to be myself. I can be the self that I was, because everything is different now that I know that I'm different. Trying to relearn to be myself. I can be the self that I was, because everything is different now that I know that I'm different. And so the journey began, the journey that I am still on, the journey of figuring out how to autism. How to not just exist as an autistic person, but to be unapologetically, authentically, deeply autistic. And what that looks like for me, what that looks like for other people. And that is just a journey that is becoming a mission to help others while helping myself to figure out how to be the best at autism. I'm exposed to autism in these conditions. It's hard as fuck and it's tears in the streets, and they don't listen to a goddamn thing. I'm exposed to autism in these conditions. It's hard as fuck and it's tears in the streets, and they don't listen to a goddamn thing. And so there it is, buddies. Kind of like a pilot episode, I don't know, maybe like a prologue to How to Autism. I did a series on TikTok called How to Autism, and I think I want to make it a thing, like an unscripted musical audiobook, because apparently that's what I want to make. Thank you for listening to this. If you have any feedback, if you're interested in song therapy, music lessons, coaching, or you want to join the Buddy Brigade Discord, 503-389-0476. It's also in the description of this podcast. I hope you have a badass day. And I love you.